Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. See this right here? All that white splatter right here. Moment I hit play, the wind started blowing. But anyway, guys, I just dropped my trailer off at the trailer shop down here in Dalton, Georgia. Yeah, that sucker's still leaking. It's still leaking. And man, oh man, let me tell you, when it rains, it pours. I'm just having my fair share of stuff go wrong. But you know, it's to be expected. I preach it all the time. Trucking done right, being an owner-operator done right, it's very profitable. But here's what gets people in trouble most of the time. They don't anticipate the breakdowns. They don't anticipate the shop bills. All the stuff that's going to go wrong with a mechanical machine. It's a given. It's just what happens. But anyway, I got a leaky trailer still. Same leaks from 2 weeks ago. So I got my guy, he's gonna look at it in the morning. And I know myself, I've been on top of my trailer and sealed it from Flex Seal tape to Flex Seal liquid to caulking, roof caulk, even to RV sealing for roofs. And it still was wanting to leak. Luckily, it's usually on the sidewall, so it never did give me a problem with product. But then it manifested into leaking in the center during a cross section, a patch job that was before I bought the trailer. And that's when I took it to the shop. And today, dropping it off, that's the 5th time they had it in the shop. So I'm leaning towards just putting a new roof on it and being done with it. I'm tired of dealing with it. If the inflation wasn't so crazy with trailers and trucks, I would have traded this trailer in for a brand new one. But I'm not going to give that price for a drive-in trailer. Just nope, ain't going to happen. Mine's just about paid off. Maybe $4,000 or $5,000, I can't remember. It's about paid off. So yeah, I would buy a new one. So I'm putting money into this one because yeah, it just makes sense. But that's not really the basis of this video. This just happened to happen, as well as I've got something else that popped up over the weekend that's just happened to happen. So we'll touch on that at the end of the video and show you guys what's going on with it. But a few weeks ago, I had to put a clutch in. Turned out to be the pilot bearing, and the flywheel went out. So went ahead and replaced the clutch, the pilot bearing, done a rear structure leak fix, so I am leak free on 801,000 miles on my engine, leak free. So that's pretty good. I can't stand a leak. They drive me crazy. Before I went back down to the shop last month to fix the splitter and the shifter that I was having issues with. If you didn't see that video, I will pin that in the comments and let you guys check that out. It's a good video, good information in there. But when I went to the truck to clean it up, the day before I went, I noticed a sound in my, well, I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, but Jerry found it. So I heard a little hum, just like a little intermittent hum in the engine or the transmission. It would come and go. It wasn't consistent. And I called Jerry, told him about it, and I was like, man, I don't know if it's a transmission, I don't know if it's the engine, but I'm not putting a load on it until you give me the okay. So anyway, I went down to the shop. Jerry climbed her all up and over my truck, all on the ground underneath it, and he found it. And he said, hey, I found it. He said, come over here. And he's on the turbo side, the passenger side of the engine. And he said, put your head up here by the valve cover. Sure enough, there's where the sound was coming off. He said, cut that truck off. I cut it off, and he said, man, he said, I'm glad it's gonna be cool tonight. You ain't got to idle. And dude, I think you've got a cam bearing trying to spin out. He said, because anyway, we don't need to run the truck until in the morning and diagnose it. Morning comes. And well, we get the valve cover off, and Jerry told me and Allison, he said, take the valve cover off, fire the truck up, and listen for that home sound, just a little, yeah, I can't imitate the sound, just know what it was. He said, just look at all the valves and the rockers and the cam. He said, and just focus on that sound. He said, and it will draw you to where the sound's coming. And so we did that, and Allison dialed in on one of the rocker arms, and she said, well, I found it, cut the truck off. Cut the truck off, and I got back out of the truck, and she said, oh man, as Allison does, I was expecting the worst. She said, man, this ain't good. I said, Allison, what's going on with it? Don't play with my emotions like that. She said, rocker arm, feel of it. And I feel of it. She said, wiggle it. I wiggled it. I said, okay, Allison, I'm a trucker, but what's wrong with it? She said, that rocker arm's no good, it's bad. I said, okay. She said, fire it back up and come here and watch it. So I fired it back up, and I'm getting ahead of myself. Where the rocker at, the lobe on the cam bearing, or the cam itself, was starting to pit. It hadn't really chunked out or wasn't really bad. And she said, fire it back up and watch what it's doing. She said, it's hesitating, it's not doing properly. So fired it back up. I was looking at it, and I noticed that the valves wasn't being oiled. They've got a little oil galley in the rocker arms that dispenses oil over the valves. And I was like, well, that thing ain't even oiling. It's something, the oil galley stopped up. So we shut the truck off. We went and talked to Jerry, told Jerry what I was doing. He said, all right, Sammy, you're going to need a cam job. He said, but we're booked up. He said, you're going to have to get back on the schedule. I said, we ain't got room for you to do this job, because this cam bearing job is a big job. You got to take the hood off, pull the front of the engine off to get to the cam and pull it out. You know, a big job. And I said, okay. He said, but we're gonna patch it to get you by. He said, I'm not really worried about the cam, the pitting on the cam, or glazing, or what it's doing. When I go back down to the shop, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I'll video it. But he said, I'm not really worried about that. That's not that bad. He said, the only issue I have is we've got to get that oil galley unclogged and get it to oiling. He said, if we can get it to oiling that valve, or the valves, he said, you probably get another year out of that cam, and no problem. He said, but we've got to get it to oiling. If it's clogged up and not oiling, that's probably where the problem came from. So we went back out there, and Allison undid all the things to get the valves, the rocker arms off, and they come off in like 2 sections, maybe 3. Anyway, the section that the rocker arm that we had was bad. We tore that off, and instead of spraying and cleaning it out and where it's cobbed up, we took a rocker off another set of rocker arms that was possibly just Trucking's truck, because he was in there just last month doing a end frame. So the rocker arms that we used on my truck possibly is Justin's. So thanks again, my big brother. He done gave me an injector to keep it in the truck in case I have an injector failed on the road. So now possibly I've got your rocker arm too. So awesome. Anyway, we put that new rocker arm on there, sprayed it out real good, the oil galley, and put it back on there, fired the truck up, and it was oiling just like it should. So Jerry said, all right, you good for a couple months? He said, possibly even longer than that. He said, and just get back in the shop within a couple months. He said, we would go ahead and do it right now. He said, but I'm booked up. I've got like 5 engines to rebuild. Man, we're packed. I said, no worries, no worries. So that right there is the other issue that popped up when I was doing my clutch job, is bad rocker arm. Oil galley's clogged up. It's not oiling the valves. So man, when it rains, it pours. But that's not it. That's not where it stops. Oh man. So last week at the truck show, I noticed some white spots on my engine. So if you ever get a coolant leak, when it dries, it turns to like a white chalk. So I've noticed a couple little droplets on the front cover of my engine. I was like, what the hell, where's that coming from? And I was looking for it. I had my hood up at the show, and I was looking for it. Actually, me and a couple guys was looking for it, and we kind of rolled it out to the main, or the top pipe. All right, guys, I got to get over. I need to go a little faster than 60, but we rolled it out to that. And I was like, all right, it ain't leaking enough coolant to where my coolant light's coming on. So I'm not going to worry about that. And, well, I came back home, and yesterday when I got parked, I went to looking at it, and I climbed up in there, climbed on top of it, and I found out where the leak was going, or was coming from, because it got a little worse. There was more, you know, white dry chalk on my front of my engine. So I've got what seems to be a pinhole in my radiator on the inside of it, on the other side within the shroud, so I can't get to it. So yeah, give me just a minute. I'll be parked here in a minute. I'm gonna blow by these scales. I'm bobtailing, so chances are they're not gonna come and get me. And if they do, I'm about to get off the next. Guys, I just parked, so let's get out and let me show you guys what I'm talking about. See this right here? All that white splatter right here. There. Right here, this splatter. It looks like white chalk all on the side of the engine right here. So up on the pipe right up here, we've seen that. So I was at the truck show trying to run it down. And it was about half as much as all that white splatter that there is now. And then about half as much on the fan. You can see right there on the fan is pretty good. But what we kind of rolled it down to is being that pipe right here, right up there. So I get home, get to looking at it, and I found out that no, it's not it. What it actually is up in here. I don't know if you can see it up in there. See if I can hold this real steady. You might be able to see that wet spot up under there on the radiator. So in order to get that off, this whole front section's got to come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to keep an eye on this thing, and I'm going to go out there and turn some more profits and stay busy for the next, set you up here somewhere. I guess I'm gonna have told you, stay busy for the next, I don't know, couple weeks, and then I'm gonna go down to Haggai down in Griffin, Georgia, do the head job, possibly just change out the whole head. I think I said that, I meant cam job, do the cam job, and possibly I'm thinking about just changing out and putting a new head on it, because Cummins spec recommends if a head's got over 500,000 miles on it and you take it off, just replace it. My thinking is this, the truck's got 801,000 miles on it. I could get away with taking my head off now, and even when I need to do an end frame in the next couple years, possibly I'm not gonna have 1.3 million on it. So if I take and replace my head now and say 200,000 miles down the road, I need to do an end frame, well, guess what? I can still reuse my head. And the point of that is, I don't want to take the chance. It's kind of iffy to take the chance with all the other shit that's been going on of having like a cracked head or having a valve drop or something of the sorts. If I can go ahead and nip it in the bud, it just makes sense to me. So I might go ahead and just change out the head. I don't know. I will get the recommendation. I've got a fly in here. Get the recommendation and see what Jerry thinks when we get down there. If he can look it over and says, hey, this thing's good, don't worry about it, then cool. But if it looks like we might need to go ahead and change it, I'll go ahead and change it out and just nip that in the bud. But all right, guys, if you're still hanging around, you're awesome. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I put videos out on the regular, all things trucking, good, bad, the ugly. And remember, guys, it's not about how far you go in life that matters. It matters that how far you go in life, adding quality and values to others. Till the next video, see you, bye.